And then the final movie that we watched that night was My Neighbors, the Yamadas.
Which is a Studio Ghibli movie we hadn't seen yet.
Yeah, it was directed by Isao Takahata, who made
Tale of Princess Kaguya.
Tale of Princess Kaguya, Grave of the Fireflies, and Pompoko, which are all movies that we've seen before.
So he knows how to hit us in the dick.
And I haven't seen Grave of the Fireflies, and I don't plan to.
You should, though.
I mean, it's a really good movie, but I understand your, like...
aversion to it.
Yeah, aversion to it. But I know you've seen Pompoko, and I know you've seen Princess Kaguya.
Because you watched me watch them.
Yeah, and then right after...
Pompoko was really more the weed experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, but with Princess Kaguya, I just have to circle back to it because it's one of our favorite stories. One of my favorite stories of us watching anime together. Jan showed us Tale of Princess Kaguya, and Hannah showed us Promare. So with Tale of Princess Kaguya, it's like this really sad story about this girl who basically gets taken back by the moon.
Because she wanted to run away and wanted to know what her grandma was talking about when she said, I've been to that blue orb in the sky because they're from the moon.
Yeah, and then in Promare, it's like they basically kind of blow up.
Studio Trigger things.
Yeah, they do Studio Trigger things in the sky.
The very first show everybody ranked S tier from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean...
I've been in this club for like 2 years.
Hey,
it's gonna be 3 this year.
And yet I spent read that shit in 4 months.
With canon. But the thing about... But that was the funny thing with Princess Kaguya. Like, oh man, the moon stole Kaguya. Oh, holy shit! We're getting her back, baby! Blow that shit up!
Not on this firefighter's watch.
Not on this firefighter. I'm gonna blow the moon.
If you want to know what Promare feels like, it feels like... If you know what it feels, how good it feels to be alive and punch the person you dislike the most, then that's the feeling of Promare.
And what we all felt like after watching Promare.
I'm gonna piss on the moon!
Watch me, Obama! I'm pissing on
the moon, you idiot!
Oh, those Sonic live dubs are...
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's circle back to My Neighbors, the Yamadas, and guys...
Oh, right. Because we were talking about Takahata.
And
rest in peace.
F in the chat for a legend.
Yeah.
So here's my initial thoughts on My Neighbors, the Yamada. If you like classic sitcoms like Everybody Loves Raymond, King of the Hill...
Yeah, and literally the first gag in that show is that they left their daughter at the mall.
Yeah. And that was how I knew it was going to be.
Why can't you guys be quiet like Nonoka? Nonoka's not here.
yeah. And the funny thing, two funny things. The first one is that apparently around the time that they made My Neighbors, the Yamadas, Nonoka, the daughter in that, started to take over.
Yeah, that's... I think one of the reasons I wanted to watch this was... Schiffer listed that one video of ranking all of the Studio Ghibli movies, and I think this one was like either like in the middle or kind of high in the ranking.
Middle, upper middle.
Yeah, and it's like and one of the things he brought up in that was that people were complaining that the youngest one, Nonoka, was barely in the movie, but it turns out that apparently she was so popular in Japan that eventually they just retired the name My Neighbors the Yamadas and changed the title of the manga to Nono-chan.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, a couple of years after the Takahata movie came out, there was a full-blown Nonoka TV show where Nonoka was
it's just her.
Was the main character. I mean, the other family members were in it. It was just like Nonoka was the main character.
If I'm going to be perfectly blunt, which, I can see. I mean, the little girl was charming, but the other family was hilarious.
Yeah, the family was great.
Yeah, the son was hilarious. It's voiced by the boy from Spy Kids.
Yeah, Junie Cortez.
and the dad was voiced by none other than Jim Belushi. Which, little fun fact, I come from DuPage County, which is west of Chicago, and He and his brother, the more famous John Belushi, went to the community college I attended, and there's even a center named after him in College of DuPage, the Belushi Center. So
The Animal House.
I wish. No, that's cool though. That's cool. Speaking of Animal House, when I heard that Jim Belushi was in this movie, I wish that it did flashback to the dad's college days, and you just saw him swigging a whole bottle of like some Japanese liquor. Your tongue's yellow, by the way.
I think you're chicken screwdriver.
And but yeah, the English cast, as is with pretty much all Ghibli films, is great. Not just is Jim Belushi in it, and the kid from Spy Kids is in it.
And Nono-chan was Panini from Chowder.
Yeah, Panini Chowder!
And the grandma was
Tress MacNeille, who has been in like everything, including The Simpsons, as Principal Skinner's mom.
Yeah.
The one who was like, "Quiet, fatso! The sergeant's talking!" And was also Hama from Avatar.
Yeah.
And she's been in a bunch of Ghibli stuff before. I just remember her name from The Simpsons, like written in
She's
that.
been pretty much every cartoon ever.
Yeah. You've heard her before. Even if you don't know the name, you've heard her before. And the mom of My Neighbors the Yamadas was played by none other than Molly Shannon, who was like a big time SNL cast member. She was in Wet Hot American Summer, Talladega Nights, Ballad of Ricky Bobby, just all kinds of different movies, comedy movies, and the whole cast is great. I really like the whole family. I agree with you, like that. It's kind of a shame that, I like Nonoka a lot. In fact, there's a really cute moment with Nonoka that I want to talk about later. But like the whole family is great. Why couldn't they just keep it as My Neighbors the Yamadas? The whole family is all just add more of Nonoka. I can't even remember for life.
Like even with like The Simpsons, like Bart Simpson blew up as the biggest character, but they still kept it The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Didn't turn into the Bart Show.
Yeah, that's a good point. They didn't do that with The Simpsons.